The Marvel Universe is full of unbelievably powerful cosmic beings. Beings like the original Beyonder. Introduced in the first Secret Wars in 1985, the one from Beyond was the most powerful being to ever appear in the Marvel Universe up to that point. His powers were out of the league of nearly everyone, as shown in Secret Wars 2, with few able to match him. That is part of the reason why the retcon of his origin from the Illuminati miniseries was so bad. The story revealed that the Beyonder was not an omnipotent being from beyond the universe at all, but actually some kind of mutant inhuman, which is supposed to be impossible. So, of course, that combination somehow gave him his amazing powers. It was ridiculous, made all the worse by the fact that Black Bolt knew the whole time. Luckily, this was retconned because of how much people hated it, but with Kamala Khan being revealed as a mutant inhuman, it kinda makes me wonder where Marvel will go with that. From the day of Lucas Bishop's debut in Uncanny X-Men, he was a good guy. Righteous, self-sacrificing, a literal man of the law from the future. Which is why, when we saw his sudden and drastic change to brutal villainy, most fans were left pretty flabbergasted, even if the explanation was clear and out in the open. We knew that Bishop came to the main 616 timeline to stop what was commonly referred to as the X-Traitor. At first, he thought it was Gambit. Then after Onslaught, he thought it was Xavier, but then, 10 years later, Bishop decided once and for all that it was actually the first baby born since M-Day, Hope Summers. The child would soon be adopted by Cable, and Bishop set out to send the sweet fresh mutant back to the Shadow Realm. Bishop nearly took the life of Professor X, and he slaughtered the entire population of a future version of Earth just to cut down on the places Cable and Hope could run and hide in. The Messiah story arc was honestly loved by so many people, but the heel turn in Bishop's personality was then explained away as being possessed by a demon bear. Next up, we are talking about the awful couple of Hawkeye and Mockingbird. This whole relationship honestly kinda seems like a cheap way of capitalizing on the Green Arrow and Black Canary coupling that DC had going on, but these two were nowhere near as compatible as their DC counterparts. The best example of that would be the whole thing surrounding a guy called Phantom Rider. To sum it all up, Mockingbird is caught and physically mistreated by the Phantom Rider, and so in turn she eventually gets her revenge, taking the Rider's life. Hawkeye, instead of supporting his traumatized partner, is scared off by the fact that she took the life of her assailant, and he dumps her. It all got retconned. Now, the story changed so that Mockingbird actually consented to do the jiggy with Phantom Rider, which means she then took his life for seemingly no reason at all. Hawkeye just used the killing of Phantom Rider as the excuse to break up with her, when the real reason was because she had cheated. Sentry Fallen's Son is a comic that depicts the funeral for the Sentry after he was taken down by Thor during the Siege event. A whole bunch of superheroes are at his funeral. They're all giving their thoughts and prayers, saying nice things about the Sentry. Thor even goes and dances with Sentry's mom, which was super cute. And then we have Rogue. Rogue tries to say her piece at the funeral, and she talks about how she went for a long time without being able to touch somebody except for the Sentry, who was the only person who could hug her. And then she gets really overwhelmed and runs off crying. Then, in a little under the breath moment between Johnny Storm and Cyclops, it's basically implied that Rogue and Sentry had, you know, they did the thing. It's just super random and super unnecessary and kind of in bad taste, and it's just super out of place. While Jean Grey coming back after the Dark Phoenix saga was one of the greatest X-Men moments of all time, it was still just a little bit convoluted. Basically, it all kicks off when out in space the X-Men were bombarded with cosmic radiation. Jean Grey towed the line between life and death, but managed to return alive by making a sort of pact with the Phoenix Force. Unfortunately, it also eventually led to the Dark Phoenix saga, which told the story of the fall of Jean Grey to Dark Phoenix. After events with the Shi'ar and the X-Men, Jean sacrificed herself in order to save the universe from the Dark Phoenix she had become. Years later, in Fantastic Four number 286, it was revealed that Jean Grey had somehow been alive this entire time, and the being that actually went through the Phoenix and Dark Phoenix sagas was just the Phoenix Force itself that took on the form of Jean Grey. This brought the fan-favorite character back to life, but devalued the whole Phoenix and Dark Phoenix sagas for fans and made people hate Jim Shooter, Marvel's editor-in-chief at the time. Over 1 million years ago, the early human mutant known as Firehair became the avatar of the Phoenix Force and nearly destroyed the entire planet. She began assembling a team of supernatural and mystical beings to protect humanity and Earth. The eventual team was made up of the Asgardian god Odin Borson, the demigod sorcerer Agamotto, Komodo, the Black Panther of the Panther Tribe, the woolly mammoth riding Ghost Rider, Iron Fist Fan Fei, and a super smart caveman who wielded the Star Brand. Now after fighting some corrupted Celestials as well as time-traveling villains from the present like Thanos, multiple Doctor Dooms, and Mephisto, the team eventually disbanded. The only problem is that given the actual legit history of the Earth, it doesn't make any sense. Like, at all. It does not work. There's a Ghost Rider riding a woolly mammoth, so like you win some, you lose some, you know what I mean? During the Planet Hulk storyline, Bruce Banner was tricked by his supposed friends, all members of the Illuminati, and was sent to the planet of Sakaar, which he liberated then conquered. Then he mistakenly believed that a device set up by the Illuminati had laid low millions of his own people, including his wife. Hulk came back to Earth and laid waste to those that betrayed him. Nothing could stop him. In the end, Hulk was about to destroy the entire planet before Tony Stark called down a combined strike from orbital satellites that finally took down the Hulk. This conclusion of World War Hulk felt very lackluster, with the Hulk basically just giving up and allowing Iron Man to unleash his Deus Ex Machina. So a few years later, a retcon for that sequence explained that the satellites were actually siphoning off gamma radiation from Hulk's body. It was also used to explain the creation of the Red Hulk, which people did not like, and it was followed by Red Hulk taking the leading role in a series that was supposed to be about the actual Green Hulk. Also, if Tony had all this satellite gamma draining technology, why did they even send Hulk to Sakaar in the first place? But speaking of the Hulk, while I and a lot of comic book fans are actually huge fans of the Immortal Hulk series and how it brought some significant changes to the character of the Hulk, the run also happened to make some big changes to the origin of the character, and for a lot of fans, you just don't really mess with that kind of thing. The Hulk's traditional origin saw Bruce Banner studying gamma radiation, helping to design the gamma bomb. While they were testing the device, Bruce rushed out and saved Rick Jones, who was in the literal blast radius, exposing Bruce to massive amounts of gamma radiation. Immortal Hulk takes that but also makes it supernatural. Now, gamma radiation has magical elements that weaken the barrier between our world and a hell-like place that lies below all others called the Below Place, where the One Below All lives. The gamma then allows the One Below All to turn these gamma mutates into his avatars on Earth. Hulk is the greatest one of them. I kinda like this one, but I understand why longtime fans absolutely do not. The Marvel Stories Secret Empire introduced the idea that Captain America, the beacon of hope, was secretly an undercover Hydra super soldier. This Hydra Cap organized the second superhuman civil war, as well as Chitauri invasions on the Earth. He got promoted to director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and influenced the legislation of the S.H.I.E.L.D. Act, which gave S.H.I.E.L.D. way more authority. He then used that power to basically organize a Hydra takeover of America. Steve Rogers revealed himself as not only a longtime Hydra defector, but the Hydra Supreme. Hydra, who had seriously infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D., began assuming control of key locations and executing anyone who stood in his way. The reveal of Captain America as a Hydra agent completely took readers by surprise. Now, Marvel realized and even admitted their mistake, and so the story got retconned to have it so that the character known as Cubic, who was essentially a living cosmic cube in the form of a child, was manipulated by Hydra to create a Captain America who grew up being loyal to Hydra. This Hydra Cap would eventually supplant the real Captain America of Earth 616 until the true Captain America came back and beat the snot out of him. Next up, we're talking about Wolverine. One of Wolverine's main abilities is his incredible healing factor. It was so incredibly powerful that Wolverine seemed to be able to just brush off death like it was the common cold, and so Marvel had to start doing some talking. When Marvel decided that time had come to finally wipe out Wolverine for real this time, they needed a new explanation for how he managed to cheat death in the past, and so in Mark Guggenheim and Howard Chaykin's 2008 Wolverine run, it was revealed that Wolverine actually had in fact passed away before, many times, but each time he did, he also fought Lazair, the literal angel of death, for the right to come back to life. Wolverine discovered that his soul had also been damaged, and so he made a deal with Lazair himself to fix his soul, which had the added side effect that he would stay dead. Then came the death of Wolverine's story, and can you guess what happened? He came back to life again. But with that, my name is Adam Andrews. As always, I will catch you guys on the flippy flop. Stay safe, keep positive, and peace out, nerds. Snick, snick.